everybody. Welcome back to the Abundance Lifestyle Show. We're so thrilled you're with us again this week. And we are featuring the fabulous Dr. Arriaza again. Vast knowledge across tremendous number of subjects. Today he's going to share with us something in particular called the tipping point. And it's something that he had a couple big meetings in California last weekend, was teaching about this. And all I've heard is teasers about it, so I'm really excited to hear what it is and all about it. So we're so glad you're here with us again, Dr. Arriaza. Thank you so much for joining us on here, and welcome to the show.
Thank you, Becky. I really appreciate it. You know, again, and I say this all the time, and I definitely mean it from the bottom of my heart. For me, it's very important, these methods and avenues to get information out. We don't know who's going to hear it. We don't know where they're at. We don't know what cycle of life they're in. We don't know what season they're in, what season they're in their life, and they're building their business, and they're raising their kids, and their marriage. And it's just such a wide spectrum that these principles can really play a very key role and key component in developing a healthy life. So for me, it's important. You know, we're coming up on our 3-year anniversary of getting involved with longevity. And I say 3-year of me getting involved with longevity, not longevity getting involved with me, because I got involved, excuse me, March of 2012 is when I signed the contract. But my spirit, we really didn't connect until September of 2012, just because all the drama that had ensued and what had gone on with my company and how it had taken such a tremendous dive. So from March to September, I just kind of worked on myself, and I just kind of gathered myself, cleared my thoughts, became emotionally fit again, became psychologically prepared again, put myself through boot camp again. So then on September 1st, things took off. We started our first push, our first 90-day push on September 1st. So here we are, coming up on 3 years, and it's been nothing less than a total blessing. You know, it's been more than we can ever imagine. Our organization, the amount of people that we've been able to touch and impact, and I say we because it's really a community. It's not me. It's a community that we have built. The Spartans that we call ourselves, and people have really rallied around this community. People have rallied around this culture, and now what we see. This past Saturday, we had a super Saturday with no guests, and we had over 300 people. 300 people that came from Mexico, San Francisco, Southern California, all came here, and it was like one gigantic family, and that's really our goal. That's always been my goal from the very beginning. Longevity and network marketing is about building relationships, and he who builds the healthiest relationships is going to win the game of life and is going to win the game of network marketing. So right now we feel like we're getting closer and closer to what we call the tipping point.
It is incredible, the loyalty that you've built, and I think people can feel your heart, and I think that's what it's about, the relationships and, you know, just that interaction. It's not just a job. It's not a job by no means. So it's very impressive to see what kind of cohesion and loyalty you've engendered that quickly.
Well, you know, and just keeping in mind that word loyalty. Loyalty is a feeling, and I've learned that I can't make people feel any certain way. You know, I can make someone pick up their shoes. I can make someone be on time, but I can't make you be loyal. You know, loyalty is like love. I can't make you love something or someone. I can't make you. Loyalty is like leadership. I can't make you follow. I can't force someone to follow someone, right? As I've said, you know, several times in the past weeks, leadership is like beauty. You know it when you see it, but you can't define it. So loyalty is very similar. It brings to mind a story that I've been sharing lately, and the story has really touched my heart, and it's really stirred my spirit because I've connected with this story, and it's a story about a captain by the name of William Snickle, and this captain, he was brought on because he was a captain. He was a leader in the military, and he was brought on because he was going to lead a group of Afghan leaders and American leaders through this area in the desert in Afghanistan. And it was all supposed to be clear, and he had his soldiers with him, and halfway through they were ambushed, and they were ambushed by all three sides. And so he saw a lot of people get shot, get wounded. He saw some of the soldiers die. So what he did was they called a helicopter, came down. He went into the line of fire. He actually was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor on September for what he did on September 8th of 2009, because he went into the line of fire and he was pulling out these wounded bodies and these dead bodies. And one body that he pulled out who was wounded was a sergeant, and the sergeant had been shot in the neck, and he was bleeding profusely because they hit his jugular artery, and he was almost going to die if this captain would not have saved him. And he picked him up, and he was all filled with blood, and he put him on the helicopter, and the medic on the helicopter, he just so happened to have a GoPro camera, so he was filming all of this, and he saw the general, he saw the captain put the sergeant on the helicopter, and he leaned over and he kissed him on the forehead, and he told the helicopter pilot to take off. And the medic said, no, you got to get on. We can't leave without you. He said, no, you got to go because I have more men that are wounded, and I have to go and get them. He says, no, you can't do that. He says, I can because I know that they would do it for me. So loyalty is something that is earned. It's not something that is given. Loyalty is not positional. Loyalty is earned by doing more for others than you would for yourself. And when you've created this culture of selflessness, and I'm not saying that I'm Mr. Selfless, but I'm saying is my goal is always to outwork my organization. And the good thing about network marketing is in order for me to outwork my organization, then I have to out-help them. I have to out-train them. I have to out-lead them. I have to out-present them. So it's happened over almost 3 years that now we've created a very, very strong bond of people, of men and women, that regardless of their income and regardless of what happens, they're not really going to go anywhere, because in their mind and their hearts, they don't believe that they'll find this loyalty anywhere else. And just like that, I'm not comparing myself to that captain, but as a metaphor, network marketing is very similar, like to going in battle, right? You have to train, and there's basic training, and you have to have each of your backs, and you have to be prepared, and you don't know when the surprise is going to come. Just like in network marketing, you don't know when you're going to come across that one person that's going to change your business, 2 people that's going to change your life, and 3 people that are going to make you multimillionaires. You don't know that. So you have to always be prepared. You have to always be sharp. You have to be just like the military is trained to anticipate the enemy. Here, we train to anticipate success, to anticipate prosperity, to anticipate. Just this morning, my normal Wednesday, I do a couple conference calls in the morning. At 9:30, I do a TV show, a very small TV show. It's a Christian TV show. At 10:45, we do cold calls. We do cold calls, warm calls, and hot calls at the event center. So I'm there with a group of about 20, 30 people. I'm on the phone calling. They're on the phone calling. They hand me the phone. I do 3 ways. We confirm appointments, and I do my calls. I do my calls on a speaker so they can hear me get rejected, so they can hear me stumble and fumble, because I don't ever want them to think that I'm like above them or I'm any better than them. No, I'm just the same as them. The only difference maybe is that I don't stop. You know, when most people will call 3 times and they've again been rejected, I'll make the 4th and the 5th and the 6th and the 7th call. That's the only difference. Yeah, maybe my verbiage is a little cleaner, but it's only because I've done it a lot more, which means that I've been rejected a lot more. And then at 12:30 we start speaker training. So from 12:30 to 2:30, I have a group of 64 people that signed up to become professional speakers, and we go over the 4 points of a proper presentation: the MC, the front half, the back half, and the close. So So they see that I'm there, and this is the cool thing. I was there when there was 2 people, and I was there when there was 5 people, and I was there when there was 10 people. So now to walk into a room and there's hundreds and hundreds of people that are pulling on your jacket and wanting to take a selfie, that's just an evolution. I mean, and I am eternally grateful. I'm eternally grateful, Becky, but I'm not surprised, and I say that humbly, because this is what's supposed to happen when you create a culture. This is what's supposed to happen when you create a community. This is what's supposed to happen when you give your entire heart to this mission. This is the natural evolution of giving to a lot of people.
Well, and I've heard you talk before about, like, you have a 3-year plan laid out, like this year's this year's this year's, like everything's choreographed with you. And I think that speaks to your success so well, from, you know, the meetings to the overall, like, years ahead of your planning and what your focus is during the whole year.
Well, you know, and I'm going to use some notes here because I want to give you the right information.
Okay.
That part is a piece. It's a psychological piece from Seth Godin. He talks about the 4 concepts of innovation and change, and that's part of the tipping point. I know we've entitled tipping point. The tipping point is when it's a critical point. Okay, when an evolving idea, okay, hits when an evolving idea goes from a rare phenomenon to an unstoppable movement. So that is the definition of a tipping point. When an evolving idea goes from a rare phenomenon to an unstoppable movement, and this occurs when you have impacted 18% of our society. So if we think about this, network marketing is beyond the tipping point. Every single day, there's over 70,000 people that join somewhere in the world. 70,000 new people join some type of network marketing company. That's over 28 million people every year join network marketing. Well, there's 360. That's almost 400 million people in the world. 18% of 400 million. That's going to give us about 72 million. So if we continue at where we're at, we are network marketing we are at that threshold. We are at that threshold because tipping point is when momentum catches. So network marketing has momentum. So network marketing works. The industry pays. People get well. People live well. People retire early. People have liberty. People have freedom. So the industry works. So now I have to take that same concept and apply it to our company, Longevity. Now, I was talking to a young lady yesterday, and she says, I don't know how people still get involved with all these other companies. And I'll just share a couple other companies, Herbalife, Amway. I said, because they're at their tipping point. What does that mean? Once you get to a tipping point, people don't really care. People are going to join anyways because they believe that it's an unstoppable movement. Amway, Herbalife, they're unstoppable movements. Regardless of what happens, regardless of how good their products are, regardless of how many people make money or don't make money, it's an unstoppable movement. Now, Longevity is not there yet. Longevity, if I talk to 100 people in a room and I say, how many of you have heard of Herbalife? 95 raise your hand. How many have heard of Amway? 100 raise your hand. If I say how many have heard of Longevity, maybe 1 or 2 are going to raise your hand. So we're not at that tipping point. And our goal is to get to that 18% so we can have that momentum that is inevitable. Now there's a system to get that to. Well, that's a tipping point. And these are the concepts. These are the psychological concepts that I teach my organization. To me, network marketing has very little to do with products and payments. To me, network marketing is a system of personal development. And so the more that I can help people develop people, right, the more that I can train up personal development coaches to help people develop people, then this is going to become an unstoppable and inevitable movement. Even if people don't make money, this will still become an inevitable movement, because for $4.99, the thought that for $4.99 you can hang out with someone like you, Becky, you can hang out with these top leaders, and you're edified and you're given something that feeds your spirit and moves your soul for $4.99. That's less than $1.50 a day. That's less than $1.50 a day. People buy one or two coffees that cost them $10 a day. That does them no good. They buy all this junk. People spend hundreds of millions of dollars going to the movies and going out. So for me, $4.99 is nothing. It's absolutely zero. People pay tens of thousands of dollars to have these motivators, these guru motivators motivate you, and after that session's over, the thought of you trying to get a hold of them is nearly impossible because they've moved on to another seminar, to another location. See, when you get involved with us, we build a relationship. We're building a community. So as Seth Godin was saying, there's 4 steps to innovation and change. And the first step, right, and this is it, and so we can get closer to the tipping point, the first step is a story. Becky, we have to share our story. Yesterday, I was with Marissa Kenson, and we did a presentation and training with Marissa Kenson, and I loved it because Marissa Kenson shares her story. And if you don't know Marissa Kenson's story, go to mkcolab.com. It's a fabulous story, and it talks about where she came from and what she saw and what she did and where she is today. Many times you see people, you see celebrities, or you see actors and actresses and movie stars, and you see athletes and you see dignitaries, and you think, oh my goodness, they're so amazing. But everyone has a story. And there's a cliche in network marketing that say, products tell, but stories sell. But you know, that cliche is very, very true. And the challenge is that most of us don't want to go within. Most of us are afraid to open up our hearts, open up our minds, and become transparent when they fail to realize that your fortune is in your transparency. They fail to realize that your gifts, that what people are looking for is not here, but it's here. And as long as we're protecting this and, and acting as if things are okay, we become less and less attractive. So we begin with a story. The greatest story that we have right now is the story of Dr. Joe Wallach. That's why our organization, the Spartans, that's why we are 90 for life. That's why we are laser beam focused. That's why we stay in the lane. That's why we don't stay in the lane just because it pays us more. We don't stay in the lane just because it sounds good. We stay in the lane because that's where the story's at. The greatest story in the industry of network marketing right now is the story of Dr. Joe Wallach. Who he was, where he was, what he saw, what he did, where he is today is just one of the it's one of the greatest stories that I have ever heard in or out of the industry of network marketing. And to have this man, I just saw him. We just hosted him at a church with Carol Early this past Sunday. To have him where you can hug him and you can squeeze him and you can touch him, it's surreal. You know, it's really like imagine, to me and to my organization, he is like, imagine being able to break bread with Thomas Edison, with Alexander Graham Bell, with with Albert Einstein. That's at the level of that's the magnitude, that's the power that this man has. So that's the story, right? So you share the story of the Wallachs. You share the story of 90 for life. That's the story. But then you got to share your story, because people want to believe before they belong, and people want to believe in you before they belong to longevity. People don't sign up because of Beyond Tangy Tangerine. People don't sign up because of Pollen Burst. People don't sign up because of Liver Detox. People sign up because of you. And that's the only reason people sign up. People sign up because they hope, pray, and believe that you are going to lead them to the promised land, that you are going to solve their issues, that you are going to get them out of debt, that you are going to restore their family, that you are going to help them get well. That's why people sign up. People do not sign up because of the person on the stage. People do not sign up because how many cars are in the parking lot. Yeah, that helps. Don't get me wrong. That helps quite a bit, okay? Our goal is to have our parking lots filled with Mercedes. That helps a lot because people are visual, right? And so many people are just very superficial. But when you get someone of quality, they want to believe in you before they believe in the product. So therefore, that is the story. So Seth Godin says, you begin with a story, and then you create a community, right? You create a group of committed people. Now, commitment's very interesting, because in order for someone to commit, they have to trust you. Okay? They have to trust you. In order for people to cooperate, they must trust you. Now, I'm a chiropractor, right? And I practiced for 20 years, and I had many offices, and I adjusted close to 300,000 people. I'm a I do chiropractic very, very well. I know chiropractic. I know the human anatomy. I know the human physiology very well. I studied it for 4 years every single day, thousands and thousands and thousands of hours, right? So I would be considered someone that knows his trade, knows what he does, right? A very competent chiropractor. Now, if my family member would come and say, "Gosh, Louis, you're a chiropractor, but I have a heart condition. Could you perform open heart surgery?" See, even if they trust me, right? Even if they trust me, they wouldn't allow me to do it because they may trust me, but I'm not. That's not my field of expertise. So it's not just the trust. We trust a lot of people, but it doesn't mean that they're going to do the business with us. We trust a lot of people. It doesn't mean they're going to follow us. People don't follow people that they trust only. People follow people that are competent. And in order for you to show your competency, you must do what they cannot. Okay? So in order for you to build a community, you must start working on yourself as a leader. And leaders don't say go, leaders say follow me. Okay? So you must become competent, okay? You must become efficient at being able to raise a community of network marketers. And that's where people will become committed to you and then to the company, right? So you start with a story, and then you develop a group of committed individuals. And once you create a group of committed individuals, then you connect these individuals, okay? So connection means that you draw the best out of them and you place them in the best positions. There was a group of high school basketball players that were they were on this tremendous winning streak, and they started becoming quite arrogant. And the coaches said, he says, none of you are as good as by yourself as you are with a team. And there's some players, what's that?
As a whole, like all together.
Yeah, and there were some players that didn't understand that concept. He says, okay, let me show you. So he pulled the center and he put him at guard. He put the guard at forward. He put the forward at shooting guard. He put the shooting guard at center. And then he pulled out the second string. He said, now I want you guys to go and do your best and try to beat the second string. And the second string destroyed them. So the point that he made was, although all of you may be unbelievable individually, you're not as great as you are when you work and you're in your right positions. So if you can take a great player, put him in the wrong position, and you'll get a mediocre outcome. You can take a very good player, put him in the perfect position, and you can become victorious. So therefore, in order to connect people, you must develop the ability to see in people more than they see in themselves. And you must be able to draw that greatness out of them. Johannes von Goethe once said, this German philosopher, he said, treat a man as he is, and he'll always remain as he is. Treat a man as he could and should be, and one day he may become what he could and should be. Like today in speaker training, I am looking for the best MC. I am looking for the best product presenter. I'm looking for the best comp plan presenter. I'm looking for the best closer. So a coach, a leader, has to be able to see, okay, you've got these great players. Now where can I position these great players? So you get to start with the story. You create a group of committed people. Then you connect these people, and lastly is when the change occurs. So when you have a story with connected people and you get them to commit, now change is inevitable, and that is the four pieces, the four concepts of or the four components of innovation and change: story, connect, commit, and change. Story, connect, commit, and change. And if we do this, it's going to allow anybody, and I sincerely mean anybody, it's going to give anybody the opportunity to create a huge, successful, prosperous, happy, healthy, robust organization. Network marketing is not that difficult. It's really not that difficult. As long as, if you're going to invest 10 hours a week in network marketing, as long as 5 to 6 of those hours are invested in you and the rest in your business is going to grow. There's a lot of good people that are working themselves to the bone because no one has stopped them and said, you're working you're just not working efficiently because you're not working on yourself. It's like what Stephen Covey, it's one of the 7 habits from Stephen Covey. You got to sharpen the saw. You know what I mean? There's a guy out there cutting these trees, and in the morning he's just going for it, and trees are falling, cutting down the trees are falling, cutting down the trees are falling. By midday he's tired. By the afternoon the saw is kind of, it's not as sharp anymore, it's dull. You come up to him, you're like, hey, you know what, maybe you should take a break and sharpen the saw, get a drink of water. He's like, no, I got to cut more trees. So this person, he's a worker, right? He's out there cutting trees. He's just not efficient anymore. He's not efficient anymore because he doesn't have a leader. He doesn't have a captain. He doesn't have a visionary, and he doesn't believe in someone to tell him that maybe if you take a step back, tighten it up, sharpen the saw, you're going to get a lot further. So there's a lot of dynamics in network marketing, and I say dynamics because there's a lot of moving parts in network marketing that we have to learn. We're not going to learn these moving parts overnight. We're definitely not going to learn them in a month. But as long as we continue focus and as long as we continue studying, these concepts become very real to us. And they especially become real when we start, like John C. Maxwell says, when we start failing forward. When we start trying and falling. Our greatest learning is going to occur when we're falling. And so many people in network marketing, they're trying to, oh, you know what, I'm not going to do a presentation until I'm a great presenter. That's never going to happen. I'm never going to do a one-on-one until I know all the 140 ingredients and beyond Tiny Tangerine. That's never going to happen. In network marketing, you have to shoot now and aim later. And that's just how it is. And once we understand that concept, shoot now, aim later. Shoot now. Don't try to get that perfect shot. That perfect shot is never going to come. And if it comes, you may not be there anymore because you still got to pay bills. You still got to live your life. We got to do life, right? So we got to get in the game. It's called immersion therapy. We got to immerse ourselves into this. And we understand these concepts of tipping point and threshold and inevitable momentum. When we understand these concepts, then network marketing takes a different feel. Now we see it completely different. We see it from a different perspective. Our lenses are completely different, and it becomes a little bit easier because we start functioning from principles, right, and not just from emotions. So we start to design by choice and not by default. Okay, we start designing by what we want and not what happens. And when we get to that position, Becky, our business is different, our life is different, our income is different, and this is all learned. I mean, we're studying this every single day. I study this and I impart it to my team every single day.
That's why 24,000 people in 2 years, and they're just rabidly loyal to you. You hear them, I see them all the time talking about things, and it's just very, very impressive. So I know for you, it's very important. Throughout your personal history, you've worked on you for like decades, right? And you don't start with like so-so namby-pamby. It's like Tony Robbins level. This is the coaching that you look for, that you immerse yourself in, and that's part of why you're so successful and attractive to other people, because people can see that. They can see that success, feel the spirit of what you're bringing, and your competence. All of that's the package that people are going, wow, how do I do that? So what's the pieces that you would say, looking back over your history, what things that you've utilized for people that aren't in your, like, obviously the people in California, in the Spartan team, they have a huge advantage. More power to them. I think that's fabulous. I wish I lived in your backyard. I'm sure you've heard that a million times from everybody. But for people who are not, where an organization is, or even if they're somewhere where it's not a real strong one like that, what's some of the best avenues or people, like what books, or what do you recommend for the best bang for the buck to elevate yourself best for the network marketing? This kind of philosophy is different than corporate.
Yeah.
Where are the best avenues for people?
Sure. Now with technology, it's interesting because in chiropractic college, I disliked reading like enormously. I was forced to. I mean, yeah, I couldn't. I mean, when they said, "Oh, here's a book, and you're going to have to read up on it and do a report," I was like, "Oh my goodness, I don't want to read." But when I graduated and I came across the industry of personal development and self-help, I just fell in love with it. So I just became an avid reader, and I would read, just like many people, I'd read a bunch of books a year, a couple books a month, and I would just engulf myself, immerse myself in all this information. And now in technology, though, you can actually go through a book in a couple of hours because most of the stuff is on YouTube. Most of the stuff is, most of these books are online, right? So the learning curve has sped up tremendously. I mean, you can go online now and you can listen to a couple of great speakers. You can listen to some philosophers, some psychologists, and my goodness, in a matter of a month, your vocabulary and your understanding is completely different. So I listen to several people every day. I will listen in the network marketing aspect. I will listen to Eric Worre just about every day. I will listen a lot to Holton Bugs. I will listen a lot to Randy Gage in network marketing, right? And once in a while, I'll listen to like some Dexter Yeager or some Brig Hart, those type of just living legends. Because the reality is that the principles of 20 years ago are the same principles today. I mean, building a relationship 20 years ago is the same as building a relationship today. Philosophy, I will listen to a lot of Simon Sinek. I will listen to a lot of Jim Rohn. I actually do listen to a lot of Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins has really evolved in the last 10, 12 years from this like motivational guy to someone that's really seeking to make an impact internally. They don't not just try to get you rah-rah, but really someone that's wanting to really make a change. So, but I listen to a lot of those leaders, John C. Maxwell. I listen to a lot of those leaders, and what I do, I think maybe a little bit different, is I don't just listen to it one time, but I'll get a piece and I'll read it. I'll listen to it again and again and again and again until it clicks in my mind, because I don't listen to learn. I listen to it to teach. So I won't give up on a piece. If I think the piece is good, I won't give up on a piece until first I listen to it to see if I like it, then I listen to it again, then by the third or fourth time, now I'm listening it to learn it. By like the eighth or ninth time, now I'm listening to it and taking notes of like outlining the stories and outlining the concepts. Caroline Leaf, neuroplasticity is another one. So by like, I'm not even joking, by the 20th time, now I've taken their concept and now I've added maybe some of my stories and I've made it more network marketing. So by the time I present it to somebody, wow, this I've done it, I've tried it, I've rehearsed it, I've played with it, I've implemented stories. So now people get it and they're like, wow, this is incredible. But 3 months ago, it was just a story I heard, a story I learned, it was a story I saw, a story someone told me. But I am always doing my best to connect leadership, life, and network marketing together all the time. Those three things to me are like, they're like interwoven. Leadership, life, and network marketing. I mean, to me, network marketing is life is leadership, and leadership is network network marketing. I mean, it's a connection. So those are the people that I'm probably listening to quite a bit right now.
I cannot wait until you write your own book. It's going to be a bestseller, I'm pretty sure. In the meantime, these kind of shows like this where we can expose the Longevity Nation or whoever is interested in self-improvement stuff and competence in network marketing, in life, in whatever. This forum right here is barely babyhood. We've only had a few sessions.
Yes.
But it's going to grow and it's going to get more well known, and people are going to be looking to you for this training once they know that it's out there. And I just think that that's really important and impressive, and I really appreciate you seeing the value in that. And I hope that more people will, come on board, and I'm sure they will. And it's just so vast, isn't it? All the different things that you can and really should work on internally to elevate so many different pieces. And somebody like you that's been there, done that, you weren't born with a silver spoon in your mouth by no means. A lot of people know your story somewhat, but I mean, you weren't born king of the hill, and look at you now, so that's very inspiring. And just to hear that you did it and then how you've done it is very it's very empowering. It's very helpful for a lot of people that are struggling right now. So I really appreciate you taking the time and putting that in there. And I was going to ask you, can you tell me one more time, at one of the you speak all the time at the conventions and stuff, and you were talking about it's this whole neuroplasticity thing again, where you said there's literally like chains like in your brain, and there's negativity links like down the chain of things that were from your past, from your childhood, from whatever. What's the best way to clear that out? How do you fix that? How do you change that? Because if you open that, if you can clear that, it makes more room and way for all the positive things coming behind it, right?
Correct. Well, everything begins with, especially in transforming your life and bettering your life, everything begins when you get to a point when you say, okay, this is it. When you get to a threshold, right? Whether it's a physical threshold, whether it's a physiological threshold, whether it's a psychological threshold, whether they just repossessed your car and you're like, okay, you know what? I'm done. It's that Jennifer Lopez in that movie, Enough, right? It's the guy hit her the last time, and she says, that's the last time you're gonna hit me. That's the last time you're gonna touch me. That's the last time. So we get to this point when we say, I've had enough, and that's called a threshold. Now, when you get to the threshold, what happens at the threshold is that you make a decision. And when you make a decision, decision comes from the root word incision, which means to incise. When you make a decision, you actually break yourself away from people, from environments, and from certain thoughts, right? And when you make that decision mentally and psychologically, then you start putting out a way different chemistry than what you were when you were in a state of fear. Going back to that captain, what that captain did, he created a safe environment. You see, when you are in a safe environment, your thoughts are different. The possibilities are more possible. The probabilities are more probable. When you're in a fear-based environment, things don't happen the way they're supposed to. We're always late. We're always a penny short. A few months ago, I'm starting to do a little more traveling like I used to, and there's this lady who, she called first class, right? And a group of people moved up to first class, but this older woman, and not really old, but I'd say in her mid to late 60s, right? She must have misheard the message, so she came to the front, and the lady right at the desk, she took the ticket, she looked at the ticket, and she says, "You're not in first class," and she said it real rude, and she said it real loud. And I kind of observe. I'm an observer, and like if we're running early, I don't mind. I sit in the airport with a cup of coffee and I just observe people. I like that, and so I that's where I get a lot of my stories from. And so I saw the whole dynamics developing, and she says, and the lady kind of looked at her like, oh, like okay, like you don't have to be upset about it, right? She says, go over there, go to that group, and I just couldn't help myself. And I said, ma'am, you don't have to be so rude to her, right? And she kind of looked at me. I said, you don't have to be so rude. I said, she just misunderstood you. That's it. She didn't hear. I mean, come on, give me a break. The PA system is not perfect here, right? So she says, well, she's got to understand. I said, well, maybe she doesn't understand, but it doesn't give you the right to like treat us like animals. We're paying to get on this flight. It's not free, right? So don't just be. I told her just be a little more aware. That's all. Just be a little more aware. And then she says, well, if I let her on, I made a mistake and I can lose my job. And at that moment I realized, oh, I understand why you're so emotional. And I understand why you're so rude in my mind. I said, because you work in a fear environment.
Yeah.
And because you work in a fear environment, you can't do the best you can. and you're not connected, and you don't create a community, and everyone's just fending for themselves, and those fear environments tend to implode all the time. So how does someone get started? You got to make that decision. You got to wake up and say, I will never go back to that place again. I will never allow someone to mistreat me again. I will never allow myself to get my credit card rejected at the grocery store. You know, whatever it is, whatever that is to that individual, you got to get that point. You got to go and you got to really feel that, because that feeling is what's going to propel you to get yourself out of that situation. That feeling is what's going to move you to take an action that you've never taken before. That feeling is what's going to inspire you to go out there and face humiliation and face opposition, and you will begin to feel empowered, like Og Mandino says, and you will laugh in the face of adversity, and you'll have that attitude like, I don't care. I don't care what you think. I don't care what you feel. I don't care how I look, because all I care about is what I need to get done. That's it. So you make a decision. You regain your belief in yourself, because many times when people are in bad situations, they forget who they are. And if you don't know who you are, no one else will either. So you make a decision. You rekindle that belief in yourself. And you go out and you don't come home. You don't put your head on that pillow until the job is done. And I mean, this is what I did. This is what I see people do that succeed. They make a decision, they increase their belief system, and they take massive action. Everything else falls under one of those components. But if we do that, and the key is taking that decision, and you're not going to take that decision. You're not going to make that outrageous decision unless there's enough emotion, enough energy that will propel you to see above your situation, to see above your current situation, to see above your problems, to see above your humiliation, to see above your embarrassment, to see above your setbacks. But once you've got that energy above all that, Becky, there's no stopping you.
Big enough why?
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. That's where it all starts.
Cool. Okay, Doc. Well, do you have anything else you want to share with us tonight?
Yes. If whenever you see this, if you see it before March 25th, get to convention. Please get to convention, because that's where, in psychology, it's called the power of collective consciousness. That's where collective consciousness occurs. There was a study done in Washington, D.C. some years ago. And Washington, D.C. has the highest crime rate, the city, than any other city in the United States. And these group of pastors, 435 pastors to be specific, got together and they said, we're going to decrease the crime rate in the summer. And the mayor of Washington, D.C. said the only way that the crime rate could decrease is if it would snow in the summer. That's how much he believed. So these pastors went back to wherever they lived, and all in the United States, and every day at 6 o'clock in the morning, okay, their own 6 o'clock in the morning, every day at 6 o'clock in the morning for 30 days, they prayed. They prayed, they got on their knees, and they prayed. And they prayed for peace, they prayed for safety, they prayed for wisdom, they prayed for justice, and they prayed for 30 days. The following month, the crime rate decreased to a level that Washington, D.C. had not seen it in 27 years. And that is the power of collective consciousness. And that's what's going to happen at the convention. We go to the convention for one reason. We go to hear a word, a phrase, a sentence, a paragraph, a story that will change us and move us to make decisions at a higher level. And whatever it costs, whether it's $200 or $300 or whatever it costs, it's well worth every single penny. So if you see this before the 25th, you and everyone get everyone to the convention.
It is really that valuable. I've never missed one since I've been with Longevity, and which isn't, it's only 2 years, but I mean, they are very powerful. I was really glad when they went to 2 a year like they did the summit, because that connection, and you just don't get the same feeling and the same, you can't get the same power from just watching something even later, or hearing about it, or from notes or whatever. It's not the same as being there in that kind of environment. It's really is that awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. I'm super happy that we're getting, a groundwork of this kind of exposure and training for people they can refer back to, and I really appreciate the time, that you're taking of somebody of your caliber to help everybody, all the whole Longevity Nation. That really means a lot. So.
Well, it's my pleasure. And again, a lot can happen in a year in network marketing. A day is like a week is like a month is like a year. So a year of network marketing is like 12 years in conventional business. So if people make a decision a year from now, not just economically, but in all their communities and their life, they can be very different. And that's my hope for everybody. My hope for everybody is to make a decision, a better decision, to make a decision to believe in themselves and to believe in possibility, believe that it is possible for us, and just get to work. At the end of the day, we got to get to work.
That's fabulous. Yeah, I appreciate it so much, and thank you everybody for tuning in to our show. Please check in next week. We're going to have Linda Tyler on. She is the hostess of the Daily Dose, the Breakfast Empowerment Hour, which is a Longevity call-in show. The 5 days a week she does this show.
Right.
It's crazy impressive. So I'm really happy she's going to be on next week, and we'll get to know her better and see what she actually looks like. We always get to hear her. Now we're going to get to meet her. And she is fabulous. I actually met her at convention. She's just beautiful inside and out. So that'll be a fun show, and we really appreciate you all coming. And thank you once again, Dr. Arriaza. You're the best.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Becky.